We're live.
We are live. Let's see. There we go.
There we go. Yay!
Yay! Welcome to Easier Habits Live, your favorite 8 a.m. Central business live stream. I'm Alec, business growth consultant from Easier Habits.
And I'm Meg Sorensen. I am a global English communication coach and consultant.
So we are discussing the ins and I think certainly on my part, the outs of creating an ad funnel. And we really dove into working together to get your funnel. And so hopefully today your funnel should be up.
I'm very excited.
So we can talk about what you've learned. I don't have a lot new.
Oh, I have so much we can talk about. It's
all right.
all good.
Communication tip.
Communication tip. Okay, so continuing in the vein of nonverbal communication, I'm going to talk about personal space. Now, personal space, yeah, all right. I have a large personal bubble. For those of you who haven't encountered me in person, I'm generally I'm trying not to distance myself too much. Obviously this is my husband, but also I'm not being...
If you notice by the end of the episode, she's...
No, I actually have to make a conscious effort to lean in a little bit so that I'm not leaning away and looking standoffish. Because in our first video I was like, oh, that's bad, I can't do that. Okay, gotta lean in. But just the fact that I'm noticing the distance between us is really important. And this is going to be the case especially if you're working with people from other cultures, because we have different personal bubble spaces. I've made friends with people who, I don't know if it was their culture or just them as a person, but they're very much like, I'm going to talk closely to you, and is more engaging or something like that. And then there's other people who I'm like, you're so far away. Why are you all the way over there? And so just recognizing that that's a thing and adjusting accordingly, because I would never want to get into somebody else's personal bubble. Not generally something I'm at risk of doing, but I am at risk of being too far away from the other person and seeming standoffish, which I do not want. And as part of this, all right, you can kind of people watch, right? See how people are acting within relation to each other. There are times in Japan when people are very physically close, but it doesn't feel invasive because of, I don't even know, right? You're all on the train, squished into this space, tiny, you're all sardines and you're touching people, but it still doesn't feel as invasive as someone who's right in your face talking at you. And I think probably a lot of that comes from people aren't making eye contact. People are quiet and kind of minding their own business. And so I will add eye contact into that idea of personal space. That eye contact is very intimate. That it can be one of those things that can draw you closer to somebody, but it can also alienate people who are either not used to as much eye contact or see eye contact as confrontational rather than friendly.
Like cats.
Right? Oh my goodness. So I used to, want to be we have a cat, Morpheus. I can say his name, but there's no privacy issues there. I don't say our other kids' names, but I can say our cat's name. But I used to want to look in his eyes and be like, oh, you're so cute. And then he would raise his, haunches and kind of get all puffy. And I looked it up and realized that is seen as a sign of aggression. And even though it seemed a little silly for me to look down and not make eye contact, with my cat because I was being subservient to him or something like that, it definitely improved our relationship. And so it's about understanding the other person, right? For Morpheus, it's a sign of, respect and friendliness that I don't stare at him. And so with whomever you are speaking, make sure that you notice their level of eye contact as well as yours, and you can adjust accordingly. I don't think I've talked about mirroring yet. I'll probably get into that next week. But yeah, just complete, constant, direct eye contact is generally uncomfortable for a lot of people. I feel like you're having a staring contest. Now, if you're speaking to a large audience, that changes everything completely. And I'm not going to go into that today. So for now, just be aware of the space that you give the people in your environment, and not just the physical space, but kind of that emotional space through eye contact.
When you're speaking to a large audience, you have to give them the smolder.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, great communication tip. Yeah. That whole thing about like the bubble, actually social scientists have studied this, and your space bubble is not like a circular radius around you, it's an oval, so it projects further in front of you. Hence, if you're face to face, it's going to feel more intimate or more close versus like everyone staring side by side. In college, when we were learning in psych about social norms, we were challenged as an assignment to break one.
I remember that.
I chose the simplest one, which is go into the elevator, but then don't turn around. Just stand there facing everybody else in the elevator.
So much fun.
Very awkward. And I could tell, like, I didn't make eye contact with people. I think there were two people on either side, and I just stood in the middle at the front of the elevator facing them. But I stared right at the back of the elevator, but I could see at least one person in the corner just kept glancing my way. I could tell from my peripheral vision, like, what's up with this person?
I love it so much.
So, it's just funny how like such a small thing can make people, extremely uncomfortable. So yeah, personal space, it's a thing.
It's totally a thing.
All right. So, careful.
Sorry.
I have moved over to LinkedIn, where I get to target a different audience. I get to target business owners of a particular size, and I'm actually finding pretty much the same thing as I found on Facebook, except for that it's 2 times as expensive to advertise on LinkedIn, at least.
Great.
So, but I'm learning. I'm still getting clicks. What I have is like great content to boost at some point, and maybe I'll try that just if I need more followers or whatnot. But yeah, this value proposition, I'm either incapable of finding the right people for whom it's relevant. Probably. Like, I have some targeting tweaks, like, and again, like, it could even be not just the LinkedIn crowd is different, but like targeting. I try to target people who are founders and CEOs or whatever of small companies, like 1 to 10. And maybe those people already feel like they've made their decision, right? Yeah. They've already founded it or whatnot. Maybe I need to go for people who are founding, who are solo, and they don't have anybody yet. And that's the time when you're most second guessing yourself, etc. Depending, you also might be the time that you have the least money to invest in your company.
Yeah.
Right? But the other thing that I was looking at was seeing if I could target people who had engineers like me in the background, right? So they'd want, they want to talk to somebody who's been doing the business side of things for a while.
Yeah.
And can help them talk through that so they can focus on the core engineering thing that they're trying to develop. So there might be some tweaks that I can still make. But it's, I was telling Meg that it feels a lot like Ben Platt's song from Dear Evan Hansen, Waving Through a Window, right? Where you're like, all right, I know I have clients who really need this thing, right? Who really enjoy this thing. One of my realizations actually this past week was like, I kept trying to foist on some of my clients some of these things that are really marketable, like improve your income by X amount. I'm like, how about we take a look at your income and we try this thing to increase your income, because I'd love to have a guinea pig to do that. And then, selling the, talk to business coach, increase your income, X%. If I have a standardized process that I can say confidently gets, people on average X amount. And I always want to do average for me, not always just the testimonials who are the extreme cases. But what I found is like clients are like, no, talking to you as a business partner so I can get my head straight, figure out what my priorities and my strategies are is more important than maximizing my revenue. Yeah. Which is essentially them saying this is priceless.
Yeah. Right?
Like, I don't want to make another extra $10,000 $40,000, whatever, I mean, that's probably small potatoes for some people, dollars or whatever. I don't want that. I don't want to make sure that I have monetary ROI, because like the quality of life in having a functional business partner when you've had dysfunctional or absentee business partners is, priceless. So like, I know it's valuable to people, but at the end of the day, if I can't find those people, it's kind of a moot point. And that will just have to be something that people, like, I have a different initial value proposition, some kind of quick win I could give people. And so for those people who enter into a relationship, the thing that I'm trying to sell is the thing they'll realize. And like, I can help them, like, I can draw out a user journey. If this is something you can only realize later in a user journey, right? The pricelessness of that after X amount of time, I can chart out kind of where people start to notice what difference and like what's the selling point. So versus, for example, like a different client was telling me about early on in coaching, like what I was asking, what was the benefits, like right away, what do you notice right away? And it was an immediate decrease in stress because there's someone to talk to, and an immediate clarity because all these things that are whirling around in your head that are preventing you from moving forward, you're actually able to get out. And one, you're able to get it out of your head and say it where it's just like a storm inside your head. And even just articulating it to somebody who will keep it confident and, keep it private, confidential. Yes.
There we go.
Confidential and private is a huge burden in clarity. But then, on top of that, having someone who can ask questions and reflect, that really magnifies that level of clarity. So especially if you feel like you've got this thing and you can't really talk to people outside of work because they don't understand, or people at work, like you can't really talk to them openly about it because office politics or conflicts with other founders, etc. Right? That's really hard. So, I'm constructing my user journey, and I might be trying to like help people jump from 0 to step 6. And I'll still try a few things and tweak them, but these are the kinds of things you learn as you try advertising. Yep.
See, what you don't realize is that you think you're waving through a window, but it's actually a one-way mirror.
Yep.
So it looks like a window to you, but nobody else can see
I had that thought, yes. Right? Exactly. That is exactly the thing. Well, and like theoretically, right, there's someone who's making the decision, should I have a partner? There's probably a lot of people making the decision, should I get a partner? And
they can't see you,
right? Well, and I'm probably like, all right, so long-term bet, make content around that, boost that content or whatever, and maybe I'll have conversations with people in that space, and then I can figure out kind of short-term immediate needs until they trust me enough that they're like, I want to be able to talk to this person on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, I mean, you find lots of stuff over Reddit, right? As far as, or Quora, which one of it?
Well, I mean, there's some answers on Quora. Like I have the biggest following on Quora, but Quora. I haven't really translated that all to business. The majority of my answers are like D&D related.
Oh, fun!
I was just looking at my social media and trying to take a index of like, where do I naturally acquire the most followers? And I love writing long form content. I do that even in places that are not designed for long form content. And so realizing like, maybe I should use Quora more intentionally as a long term strategy. But yeah, Reddit's an interesting one because people find me either repulsive or incredibly helpful, because there's a lot of people who really hate the idea of coaching. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, I really think there's like a lower middle class divide. If you're a self-made middle class person, coaches all look like snake oil salespeople to you. Yeah, I can see that. But like when you look at the statistics, like 39% of startup, seed stage founders use coaches. That raises to 60% at growth phase. And when you think of like famous people, whenever I dig in their past, they're always using coaches. Of course. Right? Because like there's a certain level of success you need to hit before you realize like you absolutely cannot afford to waste time like without a coach. Yeah, without a coach, right? And I think that's just the point where like the time and money equation flips for you. Yeah. Like you are absolutely willing to spend money to shorten a learning process. Very much so. So whereas a lot of people take, especially who bootstrap, take pride in taking a long, very torturous, I did this hard thing all myself. It took me 5 years. I'm like, oh, great. I'm glad you enjoyed that 5 years of hardship and is that it's meaningful to you.
Yeah, right.
but like that's the kind of person that like, oh, all coaches are snake oil salesmen. Yeah. So I now just try and help people, or like I'll make a video responding to people occasionally. Mm-hmm. And like I don't even mention the fact that I'm a coach on Reddit.
Yeah, that's probably wise.
So anyway, that's my funnel stuff, but we worked a bunch on trying to put the pieces of your funnel together yesterday. So I'm curious to see what you learned from that.
Woohoo! Okay, so there were quite a few things. Again, we've mentioned like my good intentions that sometimes lack follow through. So yesterday was a huge day of follow through where I said, okay, no, this is the thing. This is the thing that matters. Right now, and especially today, I need to get this thing done. And the thing for yesterday was getting my VSL, my video sales letter, not only recorded but also posted so that we could then use it as part of this funnel. And there's quite a few things that went on with that. One, in having to constantly remind myself this is the thing, I was able to notice, and I've started with this as I've been tracking kind of how I've been spending my time, but just how frequently my mind starts to like do, and I have to bring it back, right? So it's that thing with meditation, that people, say, or the reason why meditation is so powerful and helpful in a lot of things is because it doesn't stop your brain from wandering. It trains you how to bring it back to what you want to be focusing on, really. And so it was nice because I was able to implement a lot of those things and not get down so much on myself when things were hard and just keep bringing it back. As far as creating the landing page and everything, I decided to, let's not complicate this. Let's go with the easiest thing that we can, which would be just to make the landing page in MailChimp, because that's the thing that we know how to do. Mm-hmm. And even if it's not maybe my ideal situation, and I'm like, oh, but I don't want to satisfy, there becomes a point when, you just got to do stuff. Because again, like you were saying, it may not even work, right? So why spend all of this time trying to figure out the perfect landing page that is integrated into my website when this other thing already exists? If, I find that this is successful and I have time later, that's great. But for now, I just need something. And this is the fastest something that meets my minimum requirements. So recognizing that as not a bad thing. It was, hard, but also good. The other thing is this was also applying to my video process. So, and I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk about this. I'm female, if you couldn't tell. And, as such, I am cognizant of how I look and, maybe a little bit self-conscious about how I look and what people are going to think about me based on all of this when they see me on screen. And so there's a whole process that goes into, like, I have to, be showered and do my hair, which my hair is ridiculous, so it takes freaking forever to do. Have nice makeup, that is good, not too intense, but also, highlights all the best features. But historically or recently, I've used this app that also makes the lighting on me just absolutely perfect, so that it really, smooths out all of these fine lines and wrinkles that I'm developing in my 30s. And for some reason, as I was trying to set things up, I couldn't get it to be high quality and match up with the audio. So either it was low quality, matched up with the audio and looked really like a, video that was trying to buffer, or the video was, I think it was lagging behind the audio, if the video was high quality. And so I spent probably at least 2 hours trying to, after I got all of my stuff ready, which also itself took like an hour and a half, just trying to get something that would make me look as pretty as possible on this video sales letter. And I finally had to take a step back and say, okay, what matters? What really matters here? And I decided that it was quality. So I said, okay, well, then I'm going to be okay with people seeing all of my pores and my wrinkles. I did use eyeshadow to cover up my roots that are growing out. So, but some of those other things, right, I just accepted, and it wasn't easy, but it worked. And as soon as I got that set up, I was able to film immediately, and the whole process took maybe a half hour of setup and filming, and then another, half hour to an hour editing and putting things together to finish it up. So I did finish it yesterday. But I look back at that and look at all of that kind of angst and everything that was directed at technology, right? This camera's not working. My camera's not working. This connector cord is being slow. This plug-in isn't working. I can't get this stuff to match up. When really it was more of an issue of, I want to look pretty. And so, accepting that, yeah, I want to look nice. And I did look nice. And I don't think I looked bad on that video. But, again, kind of taking that step back and recognizing where the time is warranted. Because, again, I can have the tendency to go off on other things because I need it to be this way. And so opening my mind to the possibility that it doesn't have to be that way. There are certain things that need to happen, and recognizing what those things are. A little bit kind of like the, God grant me the ability to accept the things I can change, or whatever, the power to change the things I can, accept the things I can't, and then the wisdom to know the difference, right? It's like, help me to know the things that do matter, the things that don't matter, and then, the wisdom to be able to separate those out. So it was a good learning experience, though, because one, it showed me that I can focus for an entire day on work stuff. And I took a few breaks, but they were short, and I probably could even reduce those, knowing what I know now about, all of the technology, because most of my frustration was with that. And so what it really did was empower me to know that I can do the same thing today as I'm finishing up this template that I am using as my lead magnet for the ClickFunnels. And so learning from the process and recognizing the frustration, accepting the frustration, and then using those lessons to help me today. It's been a really good process, and really nice to be able to look back now and say all of these things that I've been putting off, I was finally able to deal with.
Yay.
So that was great. And thank you again for the support and the, it's not tough love even, but just helping to point out those things that I don't want to examine all the time. Because it has made me more effective just in, this last week. So, yay.
And that's one of the reasons. There's two major reasons why, like, just getting something out there your first time is important. And one, it's just getting over all of the psychological blocks, as well as just the mundane, weird, like, figuring out what you can and can't do with your camera, right? Like, anytime you do video, it's a learning curve to figure out, like, all right, if you don't already have a setup where you use it every day and turn it on, like this one, where it's like, all right, I have everything ready in like a minute reliably, then if you don't have something like that, then it will take you some time to figure out, because your program won't work, or the connection won't work between camera, etc. Yeah. I think the common one, like the video and the audio not syncing up, is a big one.
So annoying.
Especially if you're using any kind of processing or filtering. So yeah, getting all of those things working together is tricky. So just getting through the mental and the mundane hurdles of just doing a thing.
Yeah.
So that, like, next time you do it, you can do it several times faster.
Yes.
Right? That is one benefit. And the other is, again, like, the diagnostic purposes, right? How, like, chances are this is your first ad, people won't get to the video.
I know, which is like,
so, it's the ad, so your targeting has to work, your ad copy has to resonate, and it has to resonate enough that people actually sign up for your email and template. you're trying something that I might try next week, which is not just going to the VSL. You're not even really selling the video. The video is almost an upsell. What Meg is arranging is you land on a forum page where you will be emailed the template. Oh, we have to go soon, or switch out the batteries soon. So anyway, so you're offering something specific for that email, not just access to the video, and then you have a video explaining how to use the template and upselling. So I might try that. But, there's so many things that have to work for that all to go through that, optimizing, especially stuff at the end of the funnel, is kind of academic. Let me see if I can give a business tip before the camera burns out.
Audio will still work. I
have fresh batteries. So, but the business tip, this is going back to the authentic voice, which is something I'm thinking a lot about, and hopefully who knows, maybe I'll turn that into an online course or something at some point. But I think this is one of the big secrets. You find your voice where you are the outlier, where you see other people doing everything wrong. And this is why a lot of people, they just think they're crazy, right? It's like they almost feel gaslit by the world. Like, why is everyone doing it this terrible way when this is clearly better, faster, cheaper, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't think that, like, that's your superpower, but, like, that is. The reason why you notice that is you're able to step outside of, like, the framework of what everybody else does and find something that works better. Like, that is the part of your unique voice and selling framework. So for Meg, for example, that is the fact that she is able to show people that it's not the grammar and the pronunciation that really matters, that people tend to focus on. For example, what you really need is fluency in telling your story. And that is a unique pitch that goes against what, I don't know, have you ever seen anybody else who really offers that to Japanese businessmen?
No.
Like, if you're the only person in the space offering that, like, whether we have the particular offering this ad, for this ad, whatever, like, the core product is standout, and, that is essential. For me, I guess it really is like process beats strategy, where everybody's looking for, like, strategy and information and content, where it's like, it doesn't matter. You could start with a really crappy strategy, but if you have a good process, it will, one, improve your strategy over time, but it will also do things a strategy won't: build skills, judgment, systems, etc. And so definitely, anyway, like, that's my authentic voice. And then it's just finding the way that resonates with the right audience, and that's a process of learning, and ads are diagnostic.
That they are.
So all right, until tomorrow, make big changes, or one small, until Monday.
Monday.
Right. I'm not gonna see you on Saturday, sorry. Until Monday, make big changes, one small habit at a time.
All right, bye.